Wow, stories.
I'd be an idiot if I gave my unborn son the same name as my husband's cousin's dead son. My son is due in March. We recently shared with some family members what we had chosen to name him. My mother-in-law was shocked at the name as it happened to be the same name as her nephew's son who passed away in 2017. He was born premature and died a few days later. My husband and I met after this had happened, so I had no idea that his cousin had a second son, let alone what their name was. My husband had forgotten the child's name. He has an awful memory. My husband is still set on the name, but as much as I love, it still feels wrong. We've had the name picked out for months. Would I be the idiot if I don't just completely scrap this name? My husband is not close with his cousin. I've met him a handful of times at weddings and a funeral. We aren't likely to spend much time together in the future. My husband wants to reach out to him and ask, but that feels awful too. No idiots here? I think you should go with your gut here. It feels wrong. It will look really bad to your husband's family, and it could be very painful for his cousin. To me, those all add up to not doing it. Find a new name. Top 300 isn't top 10, it's unique enough that this name has one meaning for your husband's family. You're an idiot. I could never ever give my kid the same name as a relative's dead child. I don't even want to think of how it would feel every time they hear the kid's name in stories or see it written on something like an invitation. Can you imagine? Hey, I know your Charlie didn't make it to 1, but come celebrate mine. Do people care too much about naming their children? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I an idiot for dropping my daughter off at daycare early so her teacher could do her hair? I'm a newly divorced dad of a 3-year-old girl. I have her every other week. My daughter has very curly hair that my ex-wife used to take care of. Now that I'm alone with her half the time, I have to figure it out. I tried, but on my weeks her hair was mostly a frizzy, tangled mess. A teacher at my daughter's daycare has very similar hair to my daughter's, so I asked if she could help me with my daughter's hair. She said she could do my daughter's hair in the mornings if I dropped her off earlier. Drop-off starts at 8. I usually drop her off at 8:45. But her teacher says if I drop her off by 8:20, she'll be able to take care of her hair. She gave me a list of curly hair products to buy and what to bring to school. She also gave me some tips for washing and caring for it at home. I guess my daughter told my ex that her teacher does her hair, not me, and that she goes to daycare early now because my ex called me and asked if I really drop her off a half hour early every morning just so I could avoid doing her hair. She called me a bad parent for relying on a teacher to do my job and for messing up the morning routine so we could get to school early enough for the teacher to do her hair. We used to wake up, give her a bath. I'd attempt to do her hair. We'd have breakfast, then go to school. But now we wake up, take a bath, and eat breakfast in the car. I thought I was doing the right thing by making sure her hair is cared for during my week, but my ex feels very strongly about this, so I wanted to know if I was an idiot. Edit. I'm going to add some things to the post that I'm seeing in the comments. I am learning how to care for her hair. Her hair is healthier now than it was a few weeks ago. I have her hair down on the weekends because I still suck at styling it, but it still looks good. The teacher really seems to enjoy doing her hair. I know she does other kids' hair, but it's not exactly a set thing. Lastly, my ex was not willing to teach me how to do her hair when we were married and is not willing to teach me after the divorce. You're an idiot. Holy weaponry's incompetence. Why don't you take your child to a salon specializing in her hair type and learn how to do it yourself, rather than offloading it to someone else because you can't be bothered learning basic skills for your own kid? You're the idiot for deciding learning to look after your own child is beneath you and not worth it. You need to reevaluate your priorities. You're an idiot. That teacher has enough to do without having to be a hairdresser as well. I think her advice on products and techniques was a gentle hint that you need to learn how to do it yourself. Step up. Is he being a bad father? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I an idiot for not making an effort to see all my kids? To begin with, I love all 3 of my children. I was a poop father when they were young, and I didn't really get much better as we aged. I worked out of town, and I never married any of their mothers. I did always pay child support and tried my best to give them meaningful gifts and experiences when they were growing up. I took them to the Calgary Stampede. I took them camping. I took an interest in their extracurricular activities. I went to their hockey and ringette games. I made sure I was at their high school graduations, and I set aside money for university. The one that didn't go got an apprenticeship in my trade and used the money to buy a welding rig. I see him all the time. We have beers, and I will stop by his house to see my grandchildren. His sisters are night and day. I let them know if I'm in the city and then leave it up to them. My oldest occasionally agrees to meet up with me and then spends a couple of hours berating me and shitting on me. For a long time, I put up with it. Now I tend to pay the bill and leave. The youngest will invite me to her home and I will have dinner with her family. Recently, my oldest found out from her brother that I had been in town for a few weeks and hadn't made an effort to see her. I was stuck in town getting medical poop done, and I really didn't need her stressing me out. Her mom knows about what is going on with me and also didn't tell her I was in town. My oldest is pissed because I saw the other two. I just don't need to be yelled at for the same thing for 2 hours. You're an idiot. Sounds like you went to a lot of sports events and camping things. Did you ever take an interest in your oldest? You said you were a poop father. Ever stop to think that she has a lot more memories of the shitty things you did than the other two? You should just take accountability for your actions and treat all of your kids the same. Not an idiot. For this very specific scenario, but generally you're an idiot. Look, the fact is your daughter wouldn't hold all of this resentment towards you if you'd been a good father. She gives you a hard time because you gave her a hard time. As the oldest, you missed out more of her life. Is he picking favorites? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I an idiot for refusing to talk to my brother and his girlfriend because they stole my baby name? So my twin brother, 23 male, and his GF, 21 female, are going to have a baby, and they found out that it's going to be a girl. So when they were asked about what they would name their baby, they said that they were planning on naming the baby Amelia. Now, I wasn't happy about this, but I wanted to give them a chance to explain themselves, so I asked why they would give their baby that name. My brother's GF said that she has a coworker with that name and that she loved it because of how unique and quirky it was. This really upsets me, and her reasoning for giving her that name made me even angrier, because I was hoping to name a future daughter of mine Amelia, after a late childhood friend who passed away from cancer when we were 12. Her name is extremely important to me because Amelia and I made a promise that if she was going to pass away, I would name my daughter after her so that she can be remembered and would officially be part of my family. It's even worse in my opinion because this is no secret and my brother knows about that promise, and I have talked about it multiple times beforehand. So, I voiced my disagreement over the name and told them why I didn't like for them to give their baby that name, and asked if there was any way that we could pick a different name for their baby. But they told me that I was being entitled about it, and said that they weren't going to change their minds about it because I don't have the right to claim the name, especially since they were having a daughter first, and they don't know if I'll ever have a daughter in the future anyways. My brother did try to compromise by stating that he'll be the one to uphold that promise for me, and that he'll make sure that Amelia will be properly remembered. But I told him that won't work, because I was the one that Amelia asked to make that promise, and it wasn't going to be the same since he never made that same promise to her. However, at the end, they insisted on naming their future daughter Amelia, and I just walked away in anger over the whole thing. I haven't talked to them for about a week, and I have been intentionally avoiding them because I really don't want to deal with them. But friends and family are telling me that they are really disappointed in me that I'm acting so childish and to get over myself over a name, and to apologize to my brother and his GF over making a scene about it. Not an idiot. I do think your brother's an ass for knowing this was important to you and not caring. But no one owns a name. If you love it that much, I would still name your kid Amelia. Who gives a poop if there are two? They didn't respect your wish, so they're hypocrites if they get mad. You're the idiot you don't get to reserve a name for some imaginary, at this point, future child. Also, it doesn't mean you couldn't still name your own future daughter if you want to.